Welcome in Todd Golden from CNHI Papers joining us. How are you, brother? Got his Milwaukee Brewers hat on for those of you that are listening on radio. So I had to go grab my Reds visor and put it over my hat for a minute. So,
totally understandable. I mean, I've no animus to the Reds. I hope
JD's. What do they call that? Popping when kids grab their jerseys. Is that called popping?
Yeah.
JD's popping his Braves shirt, his Braves jersey.
Well, the Braves are going to be a problem for both of our clubs.
As yours with the rotation is going to be a problem, and I hope again Cincinnati too, man. If they get in, Great American Ballpark will be lit.
I was actually there on Monday. I was my daughter and I go to a Labor Day weekend game. We've done it the last 5 or 6 years, and with her schedule in mind, we just decided to pop down to Cincinnati and back on Monday. So I was there when they beat Seattle. And I think Steer hit a home run for the Reds. What's that?
It was a walk-off, if I remember correctly.
No, the Mariners loaded the bases in the 9th inning and could have taken the lead, but the Reds kept them from doing that. So I forget what the score was. I think it was 6-3. So Rodriguez hit a home run for Seattle, and Steer hit one for the Reds. So it was good. We were in the shade, so we were.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah, very important.
Todd covering for CNHI Papers, which obviously formerly our good friend Terry Hutchins. And so you got papers all over the state, down in Jeffersonville, New Albany area, Terre Haute, it was Anderson. I'm trying to go by memory. They're all over the 9 different places, I think.
Yep. Kokomo's in there, Logansport, Washington, Goshen up north, Greensburg southeast. So, and my former stop in Terre Haute. So it's, and my former stop in Jeffersonville a long time ago. So we were kind of sprinkled all over the place, but I'm glad that we do this, and it's obviously a huge audience for Indiana athletics and the Big Ten generally. So it's been good to do it.
Getting to cover Indiana State while you were in Terre Haute, of course, you spent time with Kurt Mallory, the current coach there, of course, son of former Indiana coach Bill Mallory. The Mallory name has been around for such a long time, and right now Indiana State not having the success that they would like to see, but he lost a lot of players, and it's made it difficult for the Sycamores.
Yeah, no question. Their first game, their starting quarterback is out. So, anytime that happens, you're in a bind. The 2 quarterbacks who are remaining did play some last year. In fact, that churn was before I transitioned to this job, which would have been in the middle of football last year. Those guys were still sort of competing still. Cade Chambers emerged as the winner of that eventually, but it took some time. So to prepare all offseason, my understanding is he got hurt in the week or two before their first game. So that obviously puts you in behind the 8 ball. And they have a lot of names I recognize. I haven't followed them as intimately as obviously I would have when I was covering them, but they have a lot of names, but not a lot of guys, if you get my drift. I mean, they don't have that guy on their roster who is going to make a difference in terms of winning and losing. They just have guys. And when you just have guys at that level moving up to this level, it's an uphill climb. So it's going to be difficult for them. They'll be fired up. They'll be ready. It's their Super Bowl, but it's going to be a tough road to hoe for Indiana State tonight.
JD, you know as well as anybody, and some people would ask, why would an Indiana State schedule a game like this, or whomever it could be, Akron, or it's for them. It's a paycheck and it's exposure. I guess are the 2 best things they get from it, and some experience playing against an upper level. But these games they're always the underdog. But it is about those 3 things I just mentioned.
When I was in the MAC, obviously we would try to piggyback with our relationship with the Big Ten. And, we went to Purdue, we went to Ohio State, we went to Michigan, went to Northwestern, went to Penn State, went to Minnesota. And those games are key to the financial success of the athletic program. And there was a guy named Ron Musselman who used to write for the Toledo Blade. And I think Toledo at some point had a couple of FCS schools, and he would always call it the 1AA buffet. And, each week we're seeing teams. I think last week the FCS went maybe 0 and 30 something, but these games are important. And this is one thing that I, even in basketball, when you talk about scheduling, it's important to get guys game experience. And if or you get in a situation where you can play a number of people that normally don't get playing time, it really benefits your program in the long run. From an Indiana side of it, from the lower school, it certainly it certainly gets your guys' attention because they get to experience something that they don't get to experience all the time. We opened one season in Wisconsin. We opened one season Missouri. We opened one season at Oklahoma when I was at Bowling Green. And you can really gain a lot of confidence if you can come out and play well. And I think that's important. I think tests are critical. Getting tested and they're what in the Missouri Valley in football, and there's a lot of quality football teams in that league, and the best of that league, you're going to have to play awful well to beat them, and I think that this gives you a test to see what maybe your strengths are against great high quality opposition regarding talent level that you won't see most of the year, if at all.
And Todd, tonight, Indiana with an opportunity to kind of, well, I'd say get right, but they're still using this to gauge who their starting quarterback is going to be. So we're going to see Taven Jackson starting this game. And then, of course, Brendan Sorsby will play just like last week when Sorsby started and Taven Jackson came in. I've already said I don't agree with that. This decision should have been made before game one, but that's ship sailed. I thought Sorsby looked better in his second opportunity in the Ohio State game. When he came back in, he ended up going 8 of 16 for a 50% completion rate. Taven was 1 of 5, which that's, I'm not comparing that because that's coming down to play calling and all that. But I did think that Brendan Sorsby started to look more comfortable as a quarterback in that second half. Not that Taven Jackson is not a great athlete. I just thought that Brendan Sorsby just kind of settled in as a quarterback.
Well, you probably made the point about what's important about that stretch, because my first thought was, well, they put Sorsby in at the end, in the fourth quarter, and by then Ohio State was essentially, in bend but not break mode in terms of what he was able, in terms of his throwing. But you made a great point. I mean, he was able to get comfortable. And to JD's point about what these games mean, that's money you put in the bank for future games. So for Brendan to get comfortable there at the end of the game, regardless of what the game situation was, because at that point, Indiana was not going to come back and win. I think that was important. I think the game plan last week, which was a smart game plan, I mean, to take advantage of the new clock rules and stay conservative, they were able to move the sticks to make it work in the first half. I thought that was smart, but it probably doesn't give you a very good idea of what either quarterback is going to be capable of, because it's a conservative run-based, plan. So it's weird because I don't know that Indiana State's defense by the standards of FCS is okay. But again, it's kind of, to your point, you're kind of looking at this almost from a less of a numbers view and more of how comfortable the guys are, whether they get into a rhythm kind of thing. because they should be able to handle the caliber of the opponent. But that's what I'm kind of looking for tonight, is to see where those guys are in terms of, do they gain some confidence? You know, if they put up big numbers, do those numbers translate in the Big Ten? Probably not. But what is the demeanor of how they're doing it? How many mistakes are they making or not making? So I think that's going to be probably the thing the coaching staff is looking at, and certainly something that I think all of us will be looking at too.